have just finished unboxing and doing the reveal video and this beautiful little pair of earrings with my next collaboration box with Didi Beads. This one is called Denim Diamonds, and I am super excited about it because I just feel like in the fashion world, Denim and Diamonds is classic elegance, it's timeless, it's seasonless, and I feel like the jewelry that you'll be able to make from this box will also be the same. And I just, I always see the finished box when Stella sends it to me, or the first sample box comes to me. So I knew some of the elements that were going with it, but I'm so excited. You wouldn't even know that I had a hand in all the selections and everything for the box. So what I'm going to be doing today is a really simple bracelet. One of the things I love about this box and the findings that Stella included is that they do most of the design work for you. So I'm going to be using this gorgeous micro pave gold plated 14 karat gold plated bracelet bar. It is absolutely wonderful, and I just pulled a few things from my stash. I have a gold filled little mini decorative lobster claw clasp here. I love these gold filled diamond cut jump rings, so I'm going to be using that. And I have a gold plated flower head pin. That's going to be my final drop on my bracelet. And I also have these teeny tiny little crystal rondelle spacers with the little wave, and I think that these they're 3 or 4 millimeter. Let's see what we have here. Let's try the 4. Yeah, they are little 4 millimeter crystal rondelle spacers. I keep these kind of things in my stash, so when I edit this video, if I can find my past order and link those for you, I will, because I just thought that adding in crystals to the Denim and Diamonds look was really pretty, but I'm not going to overdo it. So I've already started making these little components. They're on 20 gauge anti-tarnish wire, and I'm just alternating the antique gold faceted crystals with the matte faceted crystals that came in the box, and I'm just going to dot in some of those crystal rondelle spacers. And I have to make another one of these components. It is one of these beautiful Czech glass bellflowers from the box. So just a pretty little stack. Whoops, come back. So I just have a few little scraps here of 20 gauge wire, and I'll show you what I'm doing. I am using my 2 1/4 millimeter one-step looper for these simple loops. You can totally do this with your pliers if you prefer to do it that way, but when I have to make a beaded chain, even though this one won't be a super long one, I just make my loops and keep the tool in my hand, swing it out of the way, and I get my chain done really quickly, but I also don't harm my hand. I have a problem with my wrist, so the constant twisting from all the jewelry that I make sometimes wreaks havoc with my hand. So I'll just show you quickly if you do want to try this tool, or if you're not having success with it. When I don't have any beads on my wire, I place it in the tool, gently close it. I am just past the back jaw of the plier because the tool is going to make a fresh cut for me. It's a step that wire workers will always do, a nice fresh blunt cut, but you can skip that step with your cutters. It's making the loop for me. Now I want to pull my wire down so that I can see my loop is centered on the wire. And while I have a hold of it, I will take the opportunity to smooth, warm, straighten my wire. Nylon jaw pliers are great if you have any little bend in your wire to go ahead and start out with a nice straight component. The other thing I will say too, if you have this tool and you're not having success with it, this back plate right here, if you put your wire in the tool and right against that back plate, you generally get a really great loop that's closed. If your tool is, if your wire is, let me see if I can show you. If your wire is out here when you make the loop and not flat flush against this back plate, sometimes it will not give you a great loop. I am using a few of the seed beads that I showed you in my reveal. I always take a project tray and go into my stash when I get a collection of beads to add in some special touches of my own, to change, just to personalize the bead box. And I did that again this time. I almost always will get some seed beads. I have some 8/0s and 11/0s here because this, I'm going to leave everything out because I want to do a necklace after I finish my bracelet. So I'm going to kind of work with the same elements so that this will be a full set when I'm finished. So I started with my earrings, and they'll be, you know, great with anything. So I'm just going to make this same little stack here, an 8/0 seed bead, one of those gorgeous bellflowers, one of my tiny little crystal rondelle spacers. They're really small, but they really add an impact to a little stack of beads. And then that is that. And then I'm just going to come to this end. Now that I do have beads on my wire, I will use the guide hole, put the wire through the guide hole, and then here's where I was saying I'll gently close it, but can you see that my wire is up against this back plate? I'll also pay attention right here that I'm not too tight, like 1 millimeter or so of space right there, and close the tool. It makes that fresh blunt cut, and then it's continuing around. Before I finish closing it, I don't pop this tool closed. I'm going to pull my component down as I'm closing, and now I can see that that loop is centered on my stack of beads and lined up perfectly with my other loop. And when I take it out, I have a really great loop. This one is open a little bit, which happens sometimes when you can't get the wire up against the back plate of the tool. But I am going to open and close all of these loops anyway. This one is going to get attached right to my other flower. So I'll go ahead and open it, add that to that component, and close it really well. And then I'll show you, I mean, some of you have seen me, many of you have seen me do this before, but I like to work harden with a little bit of force, open and close my pliers on my loops. I am a little bit fussy about my jewelry, and I really take my time to work harden every loop and check every loop to make sure it's closed perfectly. So that's the beginning of my bracelet, and I'm going to open this side here and attach it to one side of this gorgeous bracelet bar. I love this bracelet bar. It is like minimalist chic, and I feel like the Denim and Diamonds look is also very chic and very elegant, even though it really is, I think it leans more toward casual wear, but it's just absolutely beautiful. So we also had 5 different gemstones, 16 inches in this box, all different blue gemstone beads in 8 millimeter, and they ombre from the lightest gemstone to a couple of dark ones. But I'm going to come right here because I want these two. I wanted like a medium blue. That's the fun about gemstones. And I'm just going to snip my strand. I kind of wanted to keep my strand in this ombre the way that it came, because I may want to do a project where I string the beads exactly like that. So I'm going to steal those 2 away, set that aside so I don't lose my beads. And I'm just going to do a little component out of these, the same exact thing. I'm going to put a simple loop again and just make a single bead component, a gemstone component, to go into my bracelet. I want to keep the bracelet kind of minimalist, chic, and you know, like the 8 millimeter beads were a little bit, they're a little bit large for the bracelet bar. Let's see, I think I'm going to do one right here, be past my flowers, work harden a little bit. And then I think I'll make the other one for the other side. I'm going to add in, what's next? I'm going to add in this little guy next. So this is really a simple beaded chain. This for me is also classic elegance. You know, a beaded chain or a rosary chain is just classic elegance, and I just thought it was just a beautiful way to showcase this bracelet bar. I'm gonna do, let's see, do this one next. And I'm gonna make a few more components. and get my length of my bracelet right. So let me get my components done and I'll show you how I plan to finish this sweet little bracelet. Okay, I think I am not going to need a chain on this bracelet. I got the length just perfectly, but I am going to use this beautiful little dangle that I made and take another one of my diamond cut gold filled jump rings, and let's see where I want to attach it. I think I'm going to put this one on this side of the bracelet bar. These are so good quality that when I go to open these, they look like solid rings. It's really hard to find where the cuts are in these. Really hard. I know it's not solid. I just have to find the opening. There it goes. And so what I'm going to do is come right here and I'm going to attach this. Let me open a bit more. I'm going to attach this over the whole circumference of my component and then add in my little flower charm that I made, and put it down on the mat and close it. Okay, and now this little flower charm will go around 360 degrees, and no matter whether I pick my bracelet up this way or this way, it will always, you know, be fluid and not get stuck. So this beautiful, beautiful little beaded chain, denim and diamonds, go with anything. This would be so pretty on as a, you know, if you like to wear a watch, a bracelet on your watch side, this would be so pretty for that. I really just love it, and look at it with my earrings. But I also want to make a necklace. So I'm going to start out with the pendant. So I have taken a little piece of 22 gauge wire and I have strung on 12 beads. So there's 4 of the faceted matte beads, 1 of my little seed beads, 4 a seed bead, and 4. And I am just going to curve this into a nice, neat little ring. Just gonna like hand sculpt it and get it into the shape of a ring. Put my finger inside. It's 22 gauge wire, so it's really easy to work with. And I want to make it nice and tight. And I'm just going to secure my wires. Just do this with my fingers, a little twist or whatever it takes to secure it. Get that wire going up. I think I'm going to feed this wire just through the middle of my ring and bring it around to the back and just do a couple of little wraps. I want to secure it, but I want it to be neat. Okay, just pull it together, and I'm going to trim this off in what I am designating to be the back of my little ring, and just get in there gently. I don't want to break my little faceted crystal, matte crystal beads. Just get in there gently and tuck that wire. Sometimes when I am working in small spaces with wire, I'll use my Xuron crimping pliers because they have such a tiny tip and you can really get in and put a little bit of pressure on things without stressing your beads. So I'm going to designate this the front, and this is going to be my first little section on my pendant. And I am going to use this clasp here, but I'm going to use only the hook side of the clasp. So all I need to do is put a simple loop in here, and I'm going to just do that with my one-step looper, I think. I'll use my smallest one, see if that will work. I think that will work for there. And I'm going to put this in the tool and just get a simple loop right at the top of that little ring. Now I'm going to open this and add my hook and make sure that this is closed really, really well. And just make any little adjustments that I need to my ring. Okay, that looks great. So that is the beginning of my pendant. And the next thing I'm going to do is take one of these little pillow beads, and I'm going to get a piece of my 20 gauge wire, and I am going to do the same thing. Start with a simple loop in one end. Just get this wire nice and straight, because with those rectangle shaped beads, if there's even a tiny bend in the wire, it does not want to go through. It's warm and smooth and straighten. Work hard in a little bit. And now I'm going to thread on one of these faceted crystals and my pillow bead, and I am going to do another simple loop at the top of this, but I'm going to do it with my larger one-step looper, the 2 1/4 millimeter, because I think that's what I'm going to need for attaching it in between all of the little beads on the first section of my pendant. So I don't want to put any stress on my beads. So I'm not going to close my tool all the way. I will finish taking care of that loop with my pliers because I have to open it anyway. So I don't want to put any stress on my beads. So I'm going to open it pretty wide and snuggle it in between the bottom 4 beads on my ring. Just like wiggle it in there and just get my pliers in there and get it closed. It's a little crowded, but I can do it. I'm patient. Okay, so that is what I have so far. Let me straighten out this bottom loop. And now I am going to take some 26 gauge wire, really small length of it because I do not need much, and I'm going to get a few wraps started right over this simple loop at the top. Just get it nice and secure. Just use my pliers to help me get it started. Okay, I'm going to bring that around to the back and get rid of that little end and tuck everything. Again, since I have to get in here, use my little Xuron crimping pliers with the pointy tip to get in there and tuck. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to get this wire nice and smooth, and I'm going to come, let's see, I'm going to come behind my bead and come around to the front, and I'm just holding this with my thumb, and I'm going to pick up some of my 11 seed beads that I put out here. Okay, let's see where I am. Okay, just maybe 2 more to get me back to my bottom simple loop on this component so that I can secure it. Okay, now I'm just gonna play with my placement a little bit. I've wrapped it around this bottom loop, my bottom simple loop, and I won't be able to open that one again, but that is okay because I'm going to do one more little drop on this pendant, and I can attach that this way. Let me make sure I have it secure. Maybe one more time around. There we go. And I'm just going to snip it really close, and same thing, tuck it in so it's not scratchy. And now I can just kind of make any little adjustments, any little hand sculpting, anything that I need to do to straighten that out. It looks great. And I'm going to do one final thing. I'm going to take one of the 8mm gemstone beads and make a final little dangle on the pendant. This is my favorite one, this little squiggle that I do. And I did recently upload a video on making some of your own head pins, and there are a lot more designs than what I have done here. And so I may do another video on making your own head pins. That is pretty cool because it looks like the continuation of kind of the squiggle that I created with the seed beads. But I think I want this to be hammered. I did not hammer this one when I made it. Sometimes when I make my head pins, I leave the wire round, and sometimes I hammer it. And I think I do want the hammered effect on this. So I'm going to just bring in my little bench block here and lower your volume if you are sensitive to the noise. It doesn't take a lot really, but I have this cool new hammer that has all these different textures that you can, it's interchangeable, so you can unscrew this, and it came with a bunch of different little textures. And then I could use this, I can use this side just to flatten. So I'm just gonna flatten that wire a little bit. And a little bit of texture, a couple of I love it. When you hammer, you do change the molecular structure of your wire. And so as you can see, I spread out my squiggles a little bit, and I may actually leave it. Sometimes I like the way it turns out, but I am going to tighten up like my end one and maybe just pull this down a little bit and just use my bead to see if I like it. Once the bead is on, it gives you a little leverage too to kind of position things. See how it looks on my pendant. Yeah, I love it. Okay, I'm gonna do another simple loop with my smallest one-step looper. Open that simple loop and attach it right to the bottom. Hold on to my pendant and attach it right there. And so my beautiful little drop is ready to be added on to my necklace. Oh, that is another one of my little head pins. I said, where did that come from? It must have fallen out of my bag of completed head pins. So I am ready to make my necklace. So I'm going to use my dark blue lapis color of my Soft Flex bead stringing wire. It's my favorite wire, and this is their 49 strand, but look at this color. Could that be any more perfect with this collection of beads? So I have a strand already cut here, and I am going to take my loop part of my clasp now and feed it on and drop it down to the middle. I'm doing about a 22-inch length here, And I've already been playing with my bead pattern a little bit, so let me show you what that looks like. So as I always say, if you want to extend the length of your beads, dotting in between each bead a little seed bead is perfect. And so I have used the 11-0 seed beads that I had out here as well as the 8-0 seed beads. And to keep that denim and diamonds look going, I also have these little crystal, they're kind of a rondelle or almost a disc. So I'm just using some of those to give a little diamond sparkle in my stringing. And I'm going to do both sides of this pendant or this little loop. I'm going to do both sides exactly the same. They're going to mirror each other. So I strung a little bit of my pattern. I'm going to repeat the same thing on this side. It's super... Whoops, I strung it on the wrong side, guys. Let me switch here. I wanted to have a gold. Let me just flip this around. Sorry, dyslexia. Let me just flip this around, put a clamp there. I wanted to have my loop in the center of the necklace, but I want it to be, I want to do a gold seed bead on either side. Let me string one on this side and I'll show you how it looks. It kind of makes this a minimalist looking pendant, if you will. So that's the plan. And now I'm going to mirror this side. So I'll do one of these antique gold spacers and then one of my diamond looking ones. And then I'm flanking that on either side with this and then a gold 8-0 seed bead. So the center of my necklace is going to look like that. And my plan is that this necklace can be worn just like this with that little minimalist hook in there. But if I want to dress it up or make it more dramatic, the pendant that I've already made can just clip right on here. So when this is strung, I will have, you know, two different looks with the same necklace. And for a denim and diamonds look, I think that's amazing. But then also, I love this just as a pendant. I think it's very contemporary and chic, but I have a loop here. So if I want to make other pendants or other drops, if I want to do one that's less involved, like even just a little downward drop of these gemstone beads might be really pretty as an additional wearing option or styling option. So that's the plan. I'm going to mirror this side. I'm going to keep going. What I did is one of the 4mm matte crystals, and I just picked up an 11-0 seed bead, a matte crystal, an 11-0 seed bead, and that is my pattern. This is the most joyful, relaxing stringing because once I decided on the pattern, all I have to do is string. So I'm just going to continue like that and get my length done, and I'll come back and show you how I plan to crimp. Okay, my stringing is done and I just love it. It looks so gorgeous. I'm really in love with it. This side is not clamped off. I did finish my stringing pattern with 9 of my gold 8-0 seed beads, and if I didn't mention, they are the galvanized perma finish, and it's a little bit more expensive to use that type of a seed bead, but when anything is going to be against my skin, or like this will be at the back of the neck, it keeps the gold shiny and it doesn't rub off, and I end up not having to restring my work, so it's worth a little bit extra. My other seed beads were they're kind of a matte gold, so, and they're in between the other beads, so I was okay with those. But let me just clean up here from my stringing. And we are going to crimp. So I'm using a number 2 crimp tube from Softflex Company. They are my favorite crimp tubes, and I'm going to use my magical crimping plier. And so I'm going to put that that crimp tube on first, and then I have a lobster claw clasp and a little open circle end and 2 jump rings here. So let me go ahead and close up these jump rings. I made these out of the same 20 gauge wire that I used in the rest of my piece. So let me get this closed and I'll string it on. Okay, and I'm going to string that right on my bead stringing wire and just push that crimp tube up so that I can get my wire back down through the crimp tube. And one of the reasons that I finished my stringing pattern with these 8/0 seed beads is that I know the 49 strand will string back down through them, and I just think it looks pretty to trim my wire a little bit away from where my clasp is. I try to. It's not always possible, but I try to. So let me get a few, pull this. Let me give this a little pull. That looks really good. And I'm going to come in with my magical crimping plier. If you like the fold over crimp method here, you could do that. You could even flat crimp because this is not really heavy, but I love my magical crimping plier. Just center that tube right in the tool, close the tool. So then I've made a square, pinched the 4 corners, and I'm going to fit it back in my tool in the opposite direction, and I won't close the tool until I can feel that it's right in the center. Then I'll close it, and now just go around a few times, opening and closing, and it's turning the tube into a tiny little bead, and it just blends right in with everything else. So my other side is not not crimped. So the first side is always the easiest, and I love the soft flex wire because if you match your color, and there are so many pretty colors in it, it just becomes part of the design. I didn't feel like I needed to put a wire guardian or a seed bead loop or a French wire. I just let the beautiful color of it become part of my design. And so I'm going to remove my clamp and do the same thing on this side, only after I have, I'm going to pull out of the camera and just let gravity help me, just to make sure there's no gaps. You don't want to crimp with your piece in a straight line. And I'm going to close this jump ring really well and do the exact same thing on this side and add my clasp. So here's something that I don't show very often because when you use the magical crimping plier, it's really not necessary. But if you do want to put a crimp cover over the magical crimping plier or any crimp, I have one here, and I'm just going to show you how to do that. I will usually put my pliers inside the cover and just spread it out just a little bit, just to give me enough room to fit it over. The little jump ring is in the way. But you just fit it over your crimp. And the secret to this is not being too aggressive. And it's just another way to finish the ends. And I just decided to show it because I almost never show that I do use them sometimes right over the magical crimping plier. So I'm just going to coax it together. It's a really malleable metal that these are made out of. And the whole secret is to get it closed so that it looks like a round bead and it tricks the eye. So I just go side to side a little bit, top to bottom, and just use my pliers to gently shape it into a bead where the seam is closed really well. You can even, like I was using the Xuron pliers, you can even use those and use the divots to close your crimp cover, but I just do it gently with my pliers. And that's another way to finish your ends. I already did this end, and it just looks nice, and that is more the same size of an 8/0 seed bead, so it just looks seamless on the ends. And I'm going to take another jump ring for each side of the jump rings that I made out of the 22 gauge wire to add my clasp on. So let me just pick out a couple here. Okay, this beautiful piece is done. I love it so much. If you are interested in this collaboration box, I wouldn't wait. As of right now, it is still not sold out, but we do these in limited edition quantities. We don't mass produce our box. And so if you like this, I wouldn't wait. I would go on Didi Beads. The links are in the description box. And this is just so gorgeous because for me, like, I love the contemporary minimalist look of this piece like this, but then if I want to make this fancier, I can come in and just add my pendant to the necklace, and I have a little bit more elegant, little bit busier necklace than wearing it plain. And so for me, this goes from day to night, from jeans and a white t-shirt to a blouse and maybe really dark jeans for dinner or something like that. So I love this collection. Stella does a great job. We enjoy working together so much. We're already working on our next box, and I still have a lot of beads left. I still have all of these beads left, plus almost the whole strand of the gemstone beads. And I have to disclose that I am already working on another project, and it is going to involve Brazilian waxed cord. I have this beautiful denim blue waxed cord, and I'm already formulating another project. I just think like the waxed cord is so great with denim, so I wanted to do another piece. So I'll be back with another project with that, and I still have some flowers left. And I just thank you so much for watching. I hope you will subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification and give me a thumbs up. That's always appreciated. And I will hope everybody's safe and well and having fun on your beading mats. And I will see you in the next video. Ciao, friends.